We're doing this.
Boo.
We're gonna try this. Game 4 post game show, CLNS Media, and Celtics played this one with all the urgency of like a fourth and final preseason game for most of it.
I had that feeling to it.
It was
Absolutely.
unbelievable. I can't believe after a Game 3 win, getting Hayward back, 3 days to rest, and everything going, that they came out and played the laziest first half of basketball I could imagine. And after setting the tone in Game 3 and going to the basket and being super aggressive, just settling for shots, reaching on lazy fouls, sloppy turnovers, just an I don't want to be here sort of performance. A little gut check in the third. Tatum finally showed up. Too little, too late. We'll start with you, Josue.
Yeah, too little, too late is correct, John. And I think the Miami Heat, I mean, look, they can say what they want about what Tyler Hero has been to them all season long, but they didn't see this one coming. I don't think anyone saw this one coming. And I think the Celtics didn't do a really good job of countering the Miami Heat, especially down the stretch with their defense. Look, guys, I might be in the minority here, but I was not crazy. Look, this was what I was worried about when this whole Gordon Hayward thing started, right? I was not crazy about seeing Gordon Hayward go out there and play 30 minutes. He played 30 minutes in the last game. It worked out for the Celtics, right? But down the stretch, it didn't come down to those really bang plays that the Miami Heat were able to take advantage of, and Gordon Hayward didn't have to be in the mix of that. Tonight, that wasn't the case. Gordon Hayward clocked in 30 minutes. He's getting burned possession after possession. Brad Stevens is still leaving him out there to burn. Jimmy Butler takes him down low with no problem, gets the bucket to go. I mean, listen, guys, again, I'm not against seeing Gordon Hayward clock in a bunch of minutes here or against Gordon Hayward down the stretch, seeing him in those games.
Kind of sounds like you are, yeah.
You have to monitor his minutes. You can't just throw him in there.
They did it, Josue. That's why Semi and Brad
did
were
it. That's why Semi played 4 minutes. That's
all you can do when your
13.
season's on the line. I mean, Hayward's either ready to come back or he's not. Like it's 3-1. The season's on the line.
We talked about that,
Bobby. They just had 3 days off. Those 3 days off went a hell of a long way for everybody else in the series except for Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward is nowhere near these guys. Why is he playing defense down the stretch for 3 minutes in a row, 5 possessions in a row? He's getting burned.
The only thing I'll agree with you there on is best 5. Puts more pressure on him, the rebound, defender bigger. That wasn't a great move by Brad down the stretch, going best 5 when it was pretty close right there.
How are we taking it out on Gordon when Marcus Smart was dog shit like this all game? You know what I mean?
I thought Smart was the only guy taking in all game.
You string together stops, and the offense will come. That's what happened in Game 3.
Smart was
you had Marcus on Dragic in Game 3, and that was effective. And you had way too many times where Hero was shooting over the top of Kemba, and Kemba was the problem.
They exposed Kemba as well, but I think they exposed Hayward.
They went right at
Kemba. Kemba was obviously number one. I mean, Tyler, he had a field day on the guy, but. I mean,
I thought it was going to be Jay Crowder going at Kemba the way they were talking all week, but right from the first possession, Jimmy getting at him, getting all the matchups on Kemba that they wanted.
Yeah, and the Celtics
down the wire,
allowing it to happen, and Jimmy's just taking it to the basket, and he's got Kemba on him.
Yeah,
last game series that Kemba was going to be, a target, that he was going to be, a shortcoming in this matchup, especially against Dragic. Now, for Gordon Hayward. Look, Brad Stevens has to be prepared for the alternative here. You can't just send him out there and clock in 30 minutes and expect the Heat not to expose him and Kemba at the same time.
Do you remember during that stretch of bad Kemba in Toronto when we said, when Gordon comes back, would we consider a moment where the 5 on the floor to close a game would actually be Smart running the point and Kemba on the bench? When they went best 5 there in the fourth quarter, it only lasted for a short stint, and Kemba was the one who got yanked. Then
they went right back to it. It was
went back, and then they went back to him. But it was interesting because he was playing himself off the floor with his defense.
Yep. And I'm not going to kill Smart. 11 assists. He got the offense going. Go ahead.
I'm going to kill Smart.
Yeah, I'll kill Smart
that was
too.
The
Josue is going at Gordon Hayward like it was Gordon Hayward's fault at the.
Hey, I'm not going at Gordon. I'm going at Brad
Stevens. Yeah,
I'm going at Brad Stevens. But go on.
Okay, fine. You can go with Brad Stevens, but you can also go with Brad Stevens for a number of things. I mean, the challenge was idiotic. I mean, I'll say it. I mean, I don't know what you're thinking. You can't run into a guy's arm and then call that offensive foul. You just can't. Moving on from that, I mean, completely got away from Grant Williams, who I thought played well coming into this game. Nothing from Cantor, who at times, listen, I know Cantor's not the end-all be-all.
Cantor didn't play, did he?
No, he didn't. That's what I'm saying. So if we want to continue with the
made
Brad
no
Stevens
sense,
talk,
man.
Grant
No
Williams
Grant.
didn't play as far as I know, unless he snuck in there for the last couple seconds, which I don't
Yeah, he
think
did
so.
a little bit, yeah.
Okay, fine. But listen, these are the things that we have to question him about. I mean, I thought Jaylen Brown had an awful game. I mean, 2 quick fouls to start the game. Didn't get into any flow whatsoever. Jason Tatum, we already know how awful he was in the first half. Sure, he had a great second half, but your superstar player, guy you count on, you can't go 0 for in the first. You just can't. I mean,
Nope. And he
that
looked
is tough.
bad.
I mean,
Both
give
ends.
him credit for showing up in the second half, but I mean, geez, I mean, the announcers couldn't stop talking about how off he looked. Like they basically were saying, "Is this guy injured?" I mean, I don't know what happened.
I thought he was high.
I don't know what happened over these last 3 days. I mean, too
He
much
looked
sun,
completely out of him. He was just
He said
staring
that
at
in
the
the group
sky.
text.
too much fun in the sun, too much time by the pool. But these guys came out complete opposite. I thought they were going to come out gangbusters. I thought they were going to absolutely run the Heat out of the gym. They had every reason to. This was a must-win. They had Gordon Hayward coming back. They had some extra rest, the most rest they've had in a while. They had a little confidence after that game 3, and they just come out the way they did.
And you
Just
know what?
off.
You know what kills me out of this game? They let Andre Iguodala throw them for a loop. I mean, come on, this guy.
Dude, man.
They were
Bobby
cheating on him.
hates Iguodala.
I don't hate him. He was my
It's not
favorite.
funny to me, it's fine, but it's funny.
He was my favorite
Gosh.
player growing up, Josue.
They
I
were
loved him in
doing that
Denver. I loved him in Philly.
They were
He's
cheating off
old.
him at the end.
Yo,
And so
John,
they-
called him washed the last round, and you were like, nah, he still got a little bit. And then you see him now, and you're like, yeah, he's washed.
Yeah, I mean, and he's jacking threes. How much did the Heat try to bail the Celtics out of this game with their possessions, with some of the dumb turnovers on their end, and missing layups, second, third chance opportunities? Miami played an awful game. I mean, that's what makes you feel the worst out of this. Tyler Hero played a great game. On their end, they're playing Andre Iguodala at center, which is just dumb. Even in the zone, dumb. That he's jacking threes, and then Brad Stevens is letting him dictate the game going toward the small ball lineup for the Celtics. So Miami effectively, swindled Boston in exposing Kemba a little bit more by not having a big out there. And again, I don't think the Celtics were worse with Tice on the floor. In fact, you were getting offensive rebounds. You were getting good defense at the rim, some cuts.
Agreed.
Roll with Daniel Tice
Yeah.
through to the finish line. They should have done that.
Look, guys, I feel like Brad Stevens went into this game the way he should go into the next game. It was like he's up against, elimination. I didn't agree with his rotations. You need some more from your bench here. I mean, look, I know he was down start 1, but it's not game 7 here. Why is the bench getting outside of Hayward? Why is the bench getting 8 minutes?
Miami played even fewer people, and it wasn't a must-win for them. I mean, this is what you have here. Josue, I'm going to your point from earlier. We talked about it we talked about it at the beginning of the series. Remember we said no matter what Stevens does with Hayward, it's going to be scrutinized.
It's going to be bad. Yeah, you did say that. Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Plays him too little. Oh, he should have played him more. Plays him too much.
I didn't think he was a big problem tonight.
I didn't think he was of the problems. I thought he was low on the totem pole of problems.
I don't think he was the problem. I don't think he was the reason why they couldn't get over the hump tonight by any means.
I thought he was fine. He was serviceable. This is what we talked about. It's better to have him than other people.
When it came to stringing together defensive stops at the end of that fourth quarter, I mean, look at the tape. Every possession, he's involved in every play.
It was the team down the
every single play.
Those two possessions,
or whether it's one-on-one.
The two possessions, I think they were within 4, where they let Hero run to the basket for an open cutting layup, and then Dragic wide open in the corner. That reminded me of 18 when they quit at the end of the game after LeBron went on that little run to end Game 7, where they were just letting the Cavs run out in transition and take the game. And then all of a sudden, you're down 7, Tatum hits the 3, they wake up again, and it's like, all right, you just quit a second ago, and now all of a sudden you're right there within 3 to close the game. Like they went on and off throughout this game. The whole second quarter was off. The third and the beginning of the fourth, they were on their game. Perfect offense, great defense for stretches, and then middle of the fourth again, they completely shut down. Like this was just an on-off game throughout for them. And like I said, the worst part is Miami was not on tonight. Butler cold, Dragic not himself, Crowder and Olynyk still non-existent. This was just Hero like scraping them through with Adebayo.
Yeah,
this reminded me of like Game 4 Celtics Raptors, and I know Bobby said the Raptors played a lot better in that game, but this was one of those games where the Celtics played like crap from like start to finish, but they were always in it the whole time, and you were just waiting for somebody to step up. And again, yeah, sure, Tatum had a nice second half, but for somebody from start to finish, there was nobody tonight. I mean, Kemba wasn't that guy. I already talked about Brown. Smart was a turnover machine in the fourth quarter. I mean, he just dumb decision after dumb decision.
And the worst ones. And then another time where he had that the 28-foot three-pointer, just early in the shot clock, and they didn't need that either.
Yep.
It's just and the laziest turnovers too. Forget about Jimmy's favorite turnover, which is the bounce pass in traffic.
Oh my God!
When he throws off Hayward. But the one where he's at the top of the above the 3-point line, and he's just kind of loosely dribbling, and Butler's like, "Yeah, I'll take that ball. You just left it out there for me." That was embarrassing. It was sloppy, lazy. Tatum too. Tatum was brutal with the turnovers. Terrible.
Brown had a couple back.
I don't even know where I am. It was Jaylen Brown year 1 turnovers. I'm just going to turn around and I don't see
any. Those are the worst kind of Jaylen turnovers.
Huh?
Those are the worst kind of Jaylen turnovers.
The Jaylen turnovers.
He did travel.
I'm up in the air. I don't know where the hell I'm going. Yeah. I'm just going to throw it. He had 3 of those.
Think of the praise too for Tatum. It went through the roof because of the assists. And again, when he was good this postseason, the assists were fantastic. Great finds, great vision. But then you always have to look at the other side. Him getting crushed on the pick and roll, throwing it away, traveling on the ball. It felt like I got to look at the numbers, but assists to turnovers, the turnovers were right there meeting the assists throughout the postseason, and it hurt them at the worst times. I thought it was going to hurt them in Game 7. So much of what we talked about against Toronto came back to kill them in this series, almost fittingly.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Silence.
And
sorry, I thought you were going to elaborate.
The zone, they kept it going throughout the night, and it looked like in some
zone.
I'm
sick of hearing about the zone.
It seemed like Kemba was starting to figure it out, but
I want to hear about the zone about as much as I want to hear about how old Tyler Hero is. Okay, enough.
You shouldn't be.
But he's so young, John. It's amazing.
That's you give it to him on that. This is really his first year as the lead ball handler on the team, so you cut him some slack. But we learned 2 fatal flaws about this team. They couldn't run their best lineup. We learned it again. The best 5 doesn't seem to work. And they don't have a clear-cut lead ball handler. I mean, tonight, the only reason I give Smart more credit than you guys do is because he seemed like the only guy willing and able to make the plays, crack the zone, do what they need to do to just loosen up that defense while they were in a shooting slump throughout that first half. 11 assists. He went out there and made plays, bad turnovers, but the whole team was turning it over tonight.
It just feels like, again, I've said it a few times, but it feels like this team's not quite ready to be in the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're just a little too young. There's a lot of cooks, but there's no chef. You know what I mean?
Come on, man. I still don't see it. I see it. I see the Miami Heat being.
I mean, when I see games like this, and I see games like the first couple games, they just seem like they're not ready to be in this position. The guys aren't fully there.
They're shrinking.
Yeah, they shrink. They shrink in the moment, right?
They're being out-toughed. Right now, you can easily look around, Jimmy, and say, Toronto was tougher, but the Celtics had more talent. The talent level here, I think, is more even. Miami's clearly tougher. You look in the other conference, Denver's tougher.
So tough. Yep.
These are teams that don't quit. And here you have, teams.
I almost feel like the Celtics are kind of too drama-y and too just.
Yeah, you see it again tonight.
Not tough enough, like you said. Are they front runners? I don't know.
You saw it in the second quarter. Guys asking for the ball from each other. Who's going to lead the set this time? They don't know what they're doing in terms of a lead ball handler. It changes all game long. Joe Sway, you talked about the rotations being all over the place. There was no stability on this team, and part of that was injuries earlier in the year. But you had enough time in this bubble to figure it out before it all came together. Hayward being out mixes up a little bit, but still. But
they fall in and out of their offensive identity from possession to possession. It seems like it's almost like they just can't do the thing that they do well for long stretches of time, and they just they lapse into strange habits. I don't know. Sometimes maybe
they're playing to the
prosperity got to them a little bit at times. So Smart has those games where he's hot from 3. So then he's just I'll jack a 3. It's worked before, and he does it, and it's just when it doesn't go and it's at the wrong time and you're Marcus Smart and not Jason Tatum or Kemba Walker and you're taking those shots, those are killers. When they go, Marcus is a no, yes guy. You just don't,
They needed
forever.
Marcus. I mean, looking back on it, who is the best player in the playoffs for the Celtics? I think it's pretty easy.
Well, we'll get to that. It's Marcus Smart, probably.
Yeah.
It's Smart, but you're grading on a curve. It's actually Tatum.
Yeah. I mean, I give Smart last series, though.
It's close. It's close.
It's close, but if you're talking about tonight, he was probably their least valuable player.
I don't know. They were dominant throughout that third and into the fourth with him creating. Again, he's stable. He finds the spots.
Maybe
He
Jaylen
sets
Brown.
everybody else up. And again, could Hayward be doing that in a healthier, more conditioned world? Yes. But Smart has had to take on that role this postseason more often than not. And when he's done a pretty good job. I mean, what is the assist to turnovers on him? 11 assists. The turnovers were...
I think Smart's been great for them.
4.
I just think that tonight he wasn't. And it's not to single him out. I don't think anybody was great. I mean, that's why they lost this game to a Heat team that played like shit, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I mean, the Heat didn't deserve to win this game. The Celtics just gave it to them. And it's a damn shame because they had everything to play for. Everything, literally their entire season to play for
You
tonight.
go to 2-2.
And they put one of their worst playoff performances of the whole playoffs. I mean, really. I'm sure they'll agree.
Yep.
You almost feel like the Celtics didn't truly understand the magnitude of this game. And I know it sounds really weird to say that because we always talk about how Tatum and Brown and Smart, they've been through this so many times, 3 Eastern Conference Finals appearances, but it didn't feel like they were down 2-1 after they won Game 3. And then that was the sort of misguided approach I feel like they had heading into this one against a Miami Heat team that's only dropped 2 games the entire postseason. Like that first half, obviously Miami's going to come out strong. They've been down every single game this series, and the Celtics never matched that intensity. Jason Tatum did what he did, and it seemed like they were almost riding the heels of that. But then in that fourth quarter, when the Miami Heat strike back, it just looked like the offense just came stale. Like the shot selection was off. The defense, was off down the stretch. It was just it was a recipe for disaster.
It was amazing. The Celtics take that lead on that nice little pass. Was it from Jalen to Tice there, and they get that brief lead, the 1-point lead.
Yep.
Miami calls a timeout. Celtics come out of that timeout and they give up 5 straight points. Miami's up 4 and they were off and running. It's like, I mean, it's
what happened in that timeout.
And it stinks too. I mean, if the Celtics go on to lose this series, you're talking about a team with less firepower all around going to the NBA Finals. I mean, they just conduct themselves in a more consistent, more professional manner, frankly. Everybody on that team knows their role. They go into their bench. Guys sacrifice with their minutes. They've had guys come in and out. Iguodala specifically not playing as much, but still making the most of those minutes when he has to. And for the Celtics, it's an identity thing. I think you guys hit the nail on the head. They still, this many years into it, haven't hammered down who they are. I think... Yeah, I'm going to give them a little leeway with injuries now that you integrate Hayward back into it because you see with the best 5 lineup, they didn't have time to practice that or get cohesion between that 5 this year. But all of a sudden, Brad's throwing that out there, crunch time season on the line. That's a big leap of faith by him, and it ultimately didn't work out too well for him.
You do it because it's the best you have at this point, and it is what it is, But it's it is frustrating because, I mean, this is a narrative that should have been said about that team in year 1 when they reach the conference finals and they're not supposed to, when Kyrie gets hurt, not this year, you're not supposed to be that anymore. Tatum's not only 19 anymore, they're seasoned at this point. You gotta, at some point, just kind of man up.
It's a shorter window than you think, So, I mean, these are the years. This is the opportunity that you have right in front of you.
Yeah, I always say that.
Piss it away. And the thing about the Heat is the difference between the Heat and the Celtics is that
Tatum's going to be a Laker in 2 years.
Hey, don't joke about that. The thing about this series is that for the Heat, they've had players legitimately step up, whether it's Dragic in one game, whether it's Hero, whether it's Adebayo. Sometimes it's Jimmy Butler in spots. But the thing about Jimmy Butler is he doesn't force it on offense, right? He's more likely to pass it and get back and play defense and get the assist. But if he gets that lane or if he gets that look, he'll take it. But the Heat have had players consistently step up for them in this series. Or if you think of this on the Celtics side, who really has been the guy to step up for them in this series? nobody really rings a bell for me, and that's why they're down 3-1. Obviously, you've had spurts from Tatum, you've had spurts from Brown, but you aren't getting that great like go-to performance like you see from Hero or Dragic in that first game, anyways.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. I mean, it's too bad because this is their opportunity.
That was the difference, for sure. Yeah.
You see the difference between the rookies too. It's such a slap in the face. You don't. That's right. Yeah.
I can't.
John doesn't like me to say it, but I have to say it. The day Romeo Langford goes down for the season, Tyler Hero drops a 37-point bomb on you, and it's the third most ever points by a rookie against the Celtics. The first two were Wilt Chamberlain.
I did the quick math before. Romeo Langford for the season, 79 points. Tyler Hero for this playoff series, 82 points.
Yeah, you had a disaster draft this year.
Something to think about.
It was a freaking coin flip. 12, 13, 14.
Was it a coin flip pick?
Wow.
It was a coin flip pick where they could have picked from 12 to 14 in a three-way tie, and they ended up with 14. At 12, they get Hero. At 13, they get Hero. At 14, they get Romeo.
And it's so funny to think some random game in December a couple years ago, we're probably going, woo, let's go. And if they lost, they would have got Hero.
Unreal.
Yeah, you could probably find a bunch of games where it's like, why'd they win that game, man? Why did?
I guess the only good thing about not winning the coin flip is having had them take Romeo at 12 and knowing Hero went behind you. At least,
no, they would have picked Hero.
I know. By all accounts, like there was like stuff thrown in the room when Hero went off the table.
If they wanted him that bad, they could have got him. Why couldn't they get him?
Well, they just, I don't know, whatever. I mean, you saw. They tried to flip friggin' 7,000 picks to Charlotte to move up in slot. Like
it's really hard to move up in the lottery.
First round picks are useless. Yeah. You got one guy, you want that guy. It doesn't matter. How many Carson Edwards do you need to throw at a team to keep them from drafting a guy that they want?
Yeah.
Well, how many did he offer for Justice Winslow? Remember that?
And they said no.
4 second-rounders?
No.
Yeah, exactly. How many Grant Williamses does it take to equal one Hero? The answer
and again, you got to think of this too. They didn't know
the limit does not exist.
They didn't know they had Kemba back then, so they actually need to pile up some young bodies if they were going into a rebuilding phase, which is the disaster of the draft being before free agency. But that's another issue for another day. It should
never be.
Yeah. Oh, if there's any hope left in the series for the Celtics, it looks like Bam Adebayo broke his wrist, so I don't know if he's gonna.
Wow.
That's actually not news, but his wrist was just hanging there the last 3 minutes, so I'm interested to see.
Oh, I thought you were breaking news.
Yeah, what the hell, dude?
I'm predicting that's what's going to happen. Bam just said his wrist is good, but I don't believe it. He said he just twisted it.
We'll go with what you say, Bobby. I'm gonna build a graphic right now.
Bobby Manning report.
Tweet that out, John.
Report.
Source.
Exclusive.
Yeah. Bam has a broken wrist.
Nope, I guess he just twisted
down
it.
3-1 to this team.
It's over.
It to me, it's over.
Take it easy, Canada. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Bobby's banking on this one being over. But based on
this one was over last series, as far as Bobby was concerned.
It was. Look at Game 7. They're up 10. Let's go back. Let's do a Game 7 show again.
Miami to the list of teams that are going to be in your way again next year. Yeah,
how many times? I mean, we started talking about Game 4, this team being unable to close games, being unable to find themselves in the late minutes. All of a sudden, they win the blowout Game 5. Game 6, they lose in bad fashion. Game 7, they're up 10 with like 4 minutes to go. Bring it down to 2, and it takes like a miracle smart block to escape to the series. So like everything that plagued them in that Toronto series came back to hit them in the worst way in this one. Blowing the lead in Game 1, not executing in crunch time in Game 2, and then tonight just that everlasting issue of who the lead primary ball handler is, and the turnovers just flowed all night long. Ridiculous turnovers. Insane turnovers at the worst times. And they had 10, 11 in the first half, I think. It was an absurd number. Oh, they completely capsized tonight, and it started in the first and second quarter. Like, whew, they didn't come out of the gate ready to play.
Yeah.
This is the first series the Heat won, and they won 24-23 in that first quarter. Like, the Heat didn't even step up to the plate to take this. They just won it by default.
It's amazing. It was just awful. We didn't want to watch in the first half, you know?
The second might have been their worst quarter of the year.
I believe you. Yeah, I mean, it was that ugly. 6 turnovers for Tatum, 4 for Brown, 4 for Smart. There's your three guys, right? That you're counting on, and they're just handing the ball over. I mean, that's the Heat as a team. I don't even think had the 4, 5, 6, 8 turnovers for the Heat. So those 3 guys, nearly doubled the Heat's turnovers as a team. So
yeah, I'm seeing. Yeah, I don't know.
Anything coming out on Twitter? Any
Nothing good. There's no fights in the locker room. Brad's talking about how good Hero was.
Of course.
And that's not. He was great. He hit back-breaking, run-stopping shots all game long. But there's so much the Celtics did on their side that even put them in that position.
You could survive a game like this if you just didn't do.
Yeah, especially with everyone else disappearing. Noah Olynyk tonight, he just did nothing in the series. Crowder's gone to his.
This is the Jay Crowder I remember, the one that misses open threes.
That first half, he killed them.
Jag Crowder. Crowder.
The hardest part about Hero too is he plays that pick and roll with Bam. You don't even get relief from that when he's on the ball. And then you can't double him because of Dragic. That Miami Heat team, they didn't come out and claim this game, but as a roster, as a constructed project, they got fortunate. They traded Hassan Whiteside. They got out from under Dion Waiters. They had a bunch of bad contracts. I think of Johnson too, not Tyler Johnson, James Johnson. They got out from a lot of bad guys, and then they pick right. They find guys undrafted like Duncan Robinson. It's basically the opposite of what the Celtics did. In terms of building up the bottom side of the roster. You see how important it is.
Kemba Walker said, I just don't think we attacked enough. I don't think we were aggressive enough. No kidding, buddy. You know what? The thing that bothers me about this team is that they always say the same shit after a loss. You know what I mean? It's we know that, but we're screaming into our television the entire game because you guys aren't doing that.
Oh, how many threes did they heave in the first half?
And completely brick. I mean, they were missing shots. I couldn't keep up with how many shots they were missing. So, yeah, you want to stand in front of the cameras after and say, oh, we weren't aggressive enough. We weren't tough enough. Yeah, no shit. That's why you're down 3-1.
Too.
You're getting out-toughed every freaking game.
And so here's another thing. I don't want to, harp on, the simple, easy narratives. But,
Sure.
Did you see, the Celtics, supporting or high five? It's so strange because did you see
something felt weird in that first half?
Getting into it a lot. The Heat were cheering on the bench, up. Everybody's flipping out. Just
because the Celtics never played good in this game. They had nothing to high five about.
I know.
Yeah.
They just had negative energy.
The Heat are like a college team almost, playing that zone, dismantling the better team by rotating and making those hustle steals and.
Their zone's not that
timely
good.
shots.
There's
it's not, but
the undisciplined play in that zone. There's holes in it everywhere. It's not that good a zone.
I know. You see Bam give up the easy 3 to Brown
sloppy.
At the end.
The forwards are all over the place. It's a really
sloppy.
That was the thing. They were getting good looks from the zone.
Yeah.
They finally figured it out.
They destroyed it.
They were going down.
How many times? Boom! Catch in the middle. Bing, bing, bing. Open three.
Marcus Smart did all of that in the third. Yeah.
It's not the zone. I just don't want to hear about it anymore. It's not.
No, it's not. I'm just saying.
I'm tired of boxing one. I'm tired of the zone.
It's not the zone.
The demeanor of the team is what reminds me
of
that.
It was
but
a
you're right.
Dead-ass team. That's what I mean. It's I hate the lazy narrative of ooh, they had more heart, but it was a dead ass team. They didn't come to play. It's so disheartening.
I don't know, man. I'm skeptical with Brad right now.
Are you starting to see shades of last season, John?
I don't think Brad.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm starting to feel that.
Brad's not turning the ball over. I know it's sometimes you want a guy who can kind of shake them a little bit and be like, come on, let's snap it together.
Brad does it his way, and he's done everything he can.
He's not the one in there freaking throwing lazy passes, I mean,
I see him late in the game too, trying to direct the guys. When it came to that jump ball that they fortunately got there, the fact that they were still in this with under a minute to play was absurd. And you're just not getting the response on the team. I think he was telling Kemba to go the other side so they could break out the other way for an easy basket, and they weren't following the instructions.
Yeah, honestly, it just looks like they've just got some bubble fatigue right now. We're tired of each other, right?
Bubble fatigue. They had 3 freaking days. They had a 3-day vacation going into this game. I mean, they're all hanging out by the pool, doing whatever the hell they want for 3 days.
2 days too many, Jimmy. 2 days
mixing
too
a practice. I think they got heat stroke out there. I don't know. You know what? The Miami's used to this weather for this stretch. I think these Celtics guys, too much fun in the sun. Maybe they came out a little flat tonight. That's my hot take.
Maybe Cantor was out with a sunburn. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
That dude gets darker every time I see him.
So is there any hope? Is there any possibility left?
I mean, if you look at everything as game by game, in the cliche, take it one game at a time. Again, every single time these two teams take the floor, I think the Celtics have as good or better than even money chance to win.
He could only take a 12-point lead, even at the Celtics' worst tonight.
The problem is you've now lost 3 games where Miami didn't even play a great game, And that's the problem. Is you haven't even. We were talking about down.
You almost lost game 3.
We were talking about down 2-1. The fear here is you have to be next to perfect because Miami's going to have that one game where everything's going in, and it still hasn't happened.
That would be game 5.
They haven't survived that. They haven't survived the hot goalie game. The game where they hit 50% of their threes.
Right.
After game 3, I was like, they're gonna win either game 4 or 5. They're not gonna just roll over here.
And that's the problem. Is right now Miami hasn't played. You had Tyler Hero saves them tonight. They played a pretty pedestrian game across the board. And they didn't play a great game in 1 or 2. They just played spurts. Again, everybody saw the graphic lead. Everyone saw the stats leading into this. The Celtics have led for 75% of the series heading into tonight. So again, it's.
But you know what scares me, John? Though I feel like what happened in Game 3 is like now the model for the Celtics, right? Their best 4 players combined for 92 points, 100 points with Tice. Tice finished with 8. And their starting 5 drops 100. Like, is that what Brad's going to lean on every single game going forward? Because it seemed like that was the case, right? It looked like he looked at Game 3, like the model win for the Celtics in this series, and was like, that's what we need to do because that's how many minutes all these guys are clocking in.
I don't know in distribution. I think it was in terms of style. They played a more swarming defense in Game 3, and they were really moving the ball and getting good shots.
Right, but that's what leads to 4 or 5 guys scoring 20-plus points. Like we saw that a lot throughout the course of the regular season.
Right.
We haven't seen that a lot consistently throughout the postseason. Maybe Brad fell in love with this so much and thought that they could just duplicate it 3 days later. It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah. And I'm not going to harp on the Cantor thing because I don't think it's a huge deal, but there is something too. You get some good first half minutes from him in game 2 and 3. Then you rotate the smaller lineups with Grant out there. And,
but Williams saved their ass tonight, okay? His minutes were phenomenal.
Yeah, Rob Williams.
Yeah.
Where did he go?
Rob Williams saved them. That was actually one of Stevens' best coaching moves tonight.
Then why did he get away from it?
After not having played really, and those minutes having gone to Cantor and Grant, bringing Rob Williams in, he was a breath of fresh air.
I remember him being good in game 1 too.
Yeah, but he played with energy. He was athletic. He was swarming, offensive glass, the putbacks. He wasn't falling for fakes. He was able to kind of hang with Bam there, and he wasn't losing his position. I thought Robert was great. I didn't have any problem with not bringing Cantor back. But again, the classic case of you sneak out those big man minutes for a little bit, you get away with it in the first half, and then you just completely abandon it.
Well, then Eric Spoelstra never put out Kelly Olynyk,
Yeah.
You didn't have the Kelly Olynyk minutes that you were leaning on before.
It doesn't matter which big it is. They get a flash in the first half and then gone, And even if they are successful.
That's a great point, Joe Sway.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who. Yeah, that's true.
They go all Bam, and then they sneak in Iguodala as the backup center, and that's
there was no Kelly.
The Celtics were cheating off Iguodala, though. They were doubling, and the Heat were passing on a double, and that's where they were getting those open shots.
They should have owned those minutes.
And just not, you see, we talk about Miami picks their spot, picks the matchup on the floor. They get their switches. They have Butler going at Kemba. They had Hero going at Kemba.
Pick Boston.
How did the Celtics not attack Hero every single time? If he plays that many minutes, make him pay. You attack him. Okay, they didn't do that. I didn't understand it.
No, they didn't. They didn't attack him at all.
It's a general philosophy of not attacking in that first half. There were too many jack threes, too many shots early in possessions. Guys trying to get themselves going a little bit. I saw Smart do it. I saw Kemba do it. You certainly saw Tatum do it, trying to get out of his slump. That Tatum first half is inexplicable. It really is. Like,
talk about flop.
It's like he took money.
Yeah. Seriously. It was
I mean, they had to pull him for a couple minutes there, and that hurts your defense. So, who knows what happened there?
It's the strangest thing I've ever seen, I think. I don't remember anything like that.
He's never had a half like that in his career that I can remember.
It wasn't just like he's had bad shooting halves where he's getting his shots, they're just not going in. This was, he couldn't get anywhere. He
jumped over here on the corner. He had some defensive lapses.
They were right, though. He couldn't. The reason he got he was getting those fouls is because he was frustrated. He couldn't get anywhere. He was trying to move, and he couldn't get by anybody. He was so
at the end of the game too,
and he kept using his arms trying to clear space. He couldn't get anything going at all. He was It felt like the game was moving. Like he was moving slower. The game was moving fast. He had 6 turnovers. He almost had like 10. I mean, he came really close to 2 or 3 more turnovers in that first half. He was just sleepwalking. It was really weird. It's like he took a nap prior to the game and just woke up like right before tip-off. It was really strange.
Yeah, he was a completely different player. And then
really different. Yeah.
The Miami Heat, they had that first half that they finally put together a lead against the Celtics. And the Celtics just never countered. Like, it's almost like you don't know what team's going to come out of the second or first half. They're 2 different teams. Whether we're talking about the Celtics, what we saw tonight, or we're talking about the other Celtics team that just completely just lays over, late in the third quarter or in the fourth quarter, they can't put together a run.
I think of the way they come out of halftime, too, after that awful second quarter. Probably talk some things over, make some adjustments, but the result's not any different. Tatum turnover, Kemba heave, long 2, and then you remember that play? Robinson was wide open under the bucket. They get the inbounds to him, and then Brown sprints back and makes the block, but it was so close to just being a wide open layup underneath. That's how they come out. And then, Miami they get 3 offensive rebounds, and they can't score on any of them. Crowder misses that transition layup. Like, that's the story of the game right there. Heat have this huge 6-minute stretch out of halftime where they're not seizing on Boston's mistakes. Boston, by contrast, could have punched back into the game, taken a significant lead right there. Instead, they're down 12. Like, whew. This was just such a race to the bottom game.
And they actually played one of their better third quarters of the series, right? I mean,
they turned it up late in that quarter, yeah.
Yeah, and then they come out the way they did in the fourth and just, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's mental now. I mean, I don't know how. Again, beyond the court. We sound stupid because we keep saying the Celtics are better than the Heat. The Celtics are better than the Heat. Well, now they're down 3-1. So how does the team that's consistently better than
they're much better? It's very strange to just not show up. It's just that's the perplexing part.
I don't think the depth advantage, and I hate harping on the Celtics bench, and it's a problem this year. It came up at spots, but I don't think it's a significant factor in the series, especially
not. It's the starters that are. It's the guys you're counting on.
Starters.
That aren't.
Yep. Starters. I mean, they go -8 in that first quarter, and then you get into the bench minutes, and you lose those 2. Not sizably. You get back into the starters, you lose those minutes. So this is Heat starters on Celtics starters just outplaying Boston starters, and you would have thought Boston, with the personnel they have, especially playing a zone. You have Brown in the corner. You have dribble creators up top, drivers, Tatum. You got a rebounding big underneath. Tice hurt them on the offensive boards. They have all the personnel they need to win this matchup. So that's why, like Jimmy, I agree. I still, 4 games in, I'm like, how are they not seizing on this? Like this,
right?
They won this matchup 2-1 during the regular season too, and they won those 2 games pretty sizably.
Yeah. 27% from 3 for the Celtics tonight. I mean, that's a huge part of it. I mean, just missed shot after missed shot.
And we talk about them owning like 70% of the series or whatever. That ended tonight, but coming in.
Yep.
I'm scanning Twitter. I'm actually annoyed that there wasn't a locker room fight tonight. Like that.
Yeah, they need that, man.
I'm glad that
needs to get their feelings out tonight.
They should be more mad about tonight.
You worry Game 5 is going to be the escape the bubble game.
That's right, because right now I'm just reading the tweets and it's kind of like, sigh. There isn't enough like You know,
they did it already. They had their explosion. They had their come to Jesus moment.
Well, you know what? It goes to show that that maybe they just don't have enough in the tank, because if they had that, you can't have a second fight, right? I mean, you have the one family
one
fight
shot at
and
it.
all that stuff. You only get one of those, right? After one, it's like, oh, your family just hates you, man. Like, you know. So,
but when it doesn't work,
after that.
when it doesn't work, you're out of options. It's like that.
Right.
That's why you don't have those players only meetings. When you come out and you lose after that, you're like,
it's like, yo, we just suck. It's not even us.
Like, what do I do now? You can only play that card.
We already played our hands.
Right. Smart just can't come in and just friggin' start smashing chairs, right. You know? We gotta keep our composure.
So Brad's going to get a lot of flack out of this, especially if they lose the series 4-1. You're going to get the fire Brad, blah, 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 blah. You look around the league. You're not going to do much better than Brad Stevens. So I hate to even harp on that.
That's like settling for Andy Dalton as your quarterback, though. Like, that's the thing. Is like you don't want to can't do better than you love the guy or you don't love the guy. You know. So it's again, you're trying to do. The people who are anti-Brad are kind of like, is your ceiling capped with Brad? That's their argument. I'm not saying that's the case. I don't think that's necessarily Brad's not the guy for this team, or, done as much as he can, or he's really meant for, to coach overachievers rather than stars. I don't know if any of that's true or not. I'm just saying that anti-Brad
You definitely think that, John. You just got a big smile on your face when you said that.
I just love the argument.
Is this team an overachiever?
You think Brad, you might be right. Brad is better off coaching.
No.
The Butlers
it's just, to me, I find it
the outcasts in the world.
The people who want to pull the pin out of the grenade and fire Brad every single time something happens. They're like the Yank Tuca guys, They just want to blame something and they don't know where. But I find it just as funny the people who will defend him to the death.
Well, yeah, they would come
up in the middle.
Basketball.
He would get the pass. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You don't get a pass. You're not infallible. So it is okay to talk about Brad. I don't necessarily think they need to move on, but it is absolutely okay to talk about Brad.
Especially when you consider
it's okay. It's been 7 years. It just feels like it's been 3. Like, that's the thing. Yeah.
That's the thing, right? It's like it's not year one, and he's not playing Jay Crowder. It's a team filled with stars. Now there are expectations. It's okay to talk about the coach. Of course,
that's the thing. Is like now, all these years in with a different roster, a roster that you expect to win games. The first 3 years or whatever of his career, he was just there for the rebuild, and everyone was learning. He was learning as he was going, and he was getting a bunch of players were coming in and out. But now, this is the roster. You have young talent around you. Now, I think what you're missing is a couple of veteran guys maybe coming off the bench. I think every good team needs that. We're seeing that with the Heat, right? But certainly, Brad will take some criticism because he's having what people might say is that he can't win the big game, right?
But the reason I'm not putting it on Brad is we have to rewind to the expectations prior to the season, and that's even after they got Kemba, which was a 4 or 5 seed and lucky to get out of the first round. Now we're saying it's disappointing to not reach the finals. So we moved the goalposts a good bit on the expectations with this team. This is a team that we said had a really thin bench, had to get a ton out of its starters. We saw
Hayward
Brown take a leap and Tatum take a leap during the year and get them to a level that
ascension is the difference,
that we didn't expect that they would get to. And now all of a sudden you raised the bar on the expectations because everybody got better as time. And Gordon was playing close to pre-surgery Gordon for a while there, and Kemba was a revelation, and it just upped it. And so the flaws with this team existed before, and this is a team that we thought was possibly a first-round exit. So again, I don't know that it's necessarily fair to say,
sure, but expectations
he's not coaching the Lakers here. It's not.
Expectations changed, but they still remain. They should still remain where they were changed to, right? We came into this series saying, "Oh, the Celtics should beat the Heat. They should go to the NBA Finals." Obviously, when the season started, you weren't thinking that, but now this feels like a disappointment, and it feels like an opportunity lost because everything's happened. You also can't forget, when one of the reasons why you didn't think the Celtics were going to get this far is because teams like the Bucks would be in their way. Well, the Bucks weren't in their way, so that's another reason why you want to take advantage of a situation like this. So it will feel like a disappointment, even though when you flash, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now it is, right?
Yeah.
So
depending on how you feel about Miami, and I think eventually Miami might get to a place where we say, "Oh, geez, like this team's better than anyone thought." Like, I know the Lakers and Nuggets are on the other side, but it could get even better. Are you ruling out Miami winning it all this year, seeing what's happening in the West?
I'm not.
Yeah. So
no, sometimes you don't see it. You don't see it for a couple of years later. Again, to use a cross sports analogy, the 2001 Patriots beating the Rams was the greatest upset in history until a year or two later, and you're like, wait, this team's awesome. Like you just didn't know it then.
Yeah, and you look at the Heat's pieces, and you are like, wow, like.
And they're like, there's a lot of good pieces here. So today, on paper, you might have,
like they ascended to a high level.
I'll still take Denver or LA over the Heat, but I understand your point. I mean, the Heat are clearly.
We're talking about Denver being there. Like, that's like a wow. Imagine, the NBA's in for. I know the NHL got
Denver, Miami. Let's go. Now I want it.
I think it's going to happen. It might.
If the Celtics win, you want the Lakers. But if Miami's going in, I want Denver.
Mayhem.
I'm all in on Denver.
Oh, that's like
Denver goes. There will be a lockout. All right.
Yeah.
Mark my words.
Oh man, talk about a dream for a guy like me, and the casual fan is just gonna be like, "What's going on?" Like, I haven't watched since March.
We went all the way back to the bubble and did this whole thing so that the Nuggets and the Heat could play in the NBA.
Right. Why did we do this?
Yeah. Why did we go through all this?
It's like after a night of drinking, like
it's gonna be even worse, guys.
What have I done?
It's gonna be Lakers, Denver, LeBron dancing with his new Laker buddies and slapping five with Pat Riley. It's gonna be terrible. Celtics, you're the only team that can change this outcome.
Has Anthony Davis always been awful?
I think so. I just think we didn't know it because he was buried in New Orleans.
So New Orleans, you look at the results with him there.
LeBron winning another title against the Heat. Come on, they're gonna love that. NBA's gonna eat that up.
This could be a big legacy play for
love
LeBron
the Lakers
too. Yeah, when we talk about him,
I hate legacy arguments. LeBron James is no better or no worse, regardless of what happens at any point between now and the rest of his NBA career. He is exactly who he is.
That's what I hate to admit, but it's going to be narrative. If he wins the title,
matters. LeBron James,
that team really smells. Oh my God, they're playing Dwight Howard at center. I'm like, what? Like he has gotten a lot out of that team.
It's like Brady's legacy. What if Brady loses this one? Like, give me a break.
I hate
LeBron is LeBron. LeBron's
he's not going down, that's for sure. But he wins with this group. It's like, wow, he carried that group.
Changes my opinion of him zero.
What's your opinion?
Zero.
What's your opinion?
That Anthony Davis is the greatest player of all time.
The greatest, or he's either tied or 1A by a hair, and will be forever, and has been for over a decade. He's been since year 4 in the league. He's been the second best player who's ever played basketball, and he might be the best who's ever played. Nothing changes it. Nothing. Okay.
Well, I think if he can win another championship, he can really make
It's
a bigger case.
Talk radio. Like I
hear you, but I don't know.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Is suspect, man. That's not a great supporting cast outside of those two dudes.
Oh, they play Rondo half the game.
Oh, Rondo, Rondo's a big factor, but
Rondo's nasty.
That's what I'm saying. Like that team around him, like Dion Waiters, J.R. Smith joined as supporting pieces.
That's a bubble championship team. I'm telling you, like that's it right there.
They're the best.
They're going through the little
island of misfit toys.
Whatever they were going through, exactly. They went through that.
That's how LeBron gets all his rings.
Chilling and laughing on the sideline, like.
Hey, either way, I'm excited. We're gonna have a Syracuse guy in the NBA Finals, which I've been waiting for.
Okay. Well, we've done all we can do here.
Yeah.
We're crapping on Anthony Davis at this point.
We don't know what to say.
What can you say, Bobby?
It's disappointing.
It's not how we expected the series to go. We thought we'd have more back and forth and adjustments both ways, and it's been Miami taking advantage of the more consequential moments and big flaws in the Celtics team getting exposed, as I've said.
They killed themselves by dropping the first two. You should have obviously won one of those two, and then you can lay an egg, and it's fine. But down 2-1, you had to be close to perfect.
You had to win too. Yeah.
You see, too, the most disappointing part, even in a game like tonight, is then the moments where their backs got put against the wall and they had to wake up. they'd drain a three, they'd string together a good possession, they'd get us like the last 2 minutes. The way they extended that game was like, all right, where was this all game? First half. Third quarter, end of that third quarter.
I hate that. That's the type of stuff you do in game 64 of the regular season when you're playing the Wizards and you didn't really feel like showing up. And then you get to the fourth quarter and you're like, okay, I'm going to win this game now. You don't do it in game 4 of the conference finals down 2 games.
After blowing 2 games before it.
After already having blown 2 games, you don't have that luxury. You're not that good to just be able to coast and then turn it on when you want. It's just unimaginable that they showed up this way and just didn't come to play.
Joe Sway, too, talks about Miami. Like, now they get 2011. Now they get 2012 on them. Like, now they're going to have 2020 on them. If you care about that kind of thing, He'd have been the better franchise, better part of 2 decades now.
I also don't care about that, but maybe.
Thank you for asking if we care about it. We don't.
I always
after for the Celtics Lakers rivalry, man. That's all I want. Even if the Lakers win it, just give me that series.
They're different players. None of that stuff matters to me.
It doesn't even feel like a rivalry anymore.
Yeah, this guy's Tom Brady's 12-4 all time against the Bengals. Every single one of those teams is different.
All right, that's a little different.
Yeah, that's way different. And plus, come on, it's got LeBron in the middle of it. Celtics fans, they hate LeBron.
You got Pat Riley, Danny Ainge.
There's obviously great storylines.
I like LeBron. We gave freaking Dwayne Wade a plaque. Okay.
Yeah, that was a force. That was a good
week. Dwayne Wade.
All right, game 5. What, Friday?
Is Bobby signing off the show for me?
Yeah, it seems like it.
I'm trying to find something in game 5 that I can get excited for, but I just keep looking at it and saying, "Uh-oh, this is an escape the."
Did you mute him?
I did not mute him. We lost him. He fiddled with something. He fiddled with something.
Did you fiddle with something, Bobby?
We gave up.
All right, he's got to go.
He's gone.
He's about to go do some.
See, just when Bobby starts to think about something positive about Game 5, and he gets muted. That's a sign.
All right. I'm gonna quickly play Tatum here on his first half. Let's hear what he has to say.
I wasn't aggressive enough. I didn't score in the first half. That's unacceptable. So, I know I had to play better, and that's what I tried to do. It wasn't as good as it needed to be. We didn't play well enough in the first half. We responded in the second half, but they were already feeling good about themselves and their rhythm. It was tough.
All right, he said it was unacceptable. He wasn't aggressive enough. Duh. Yeah, but again, why?
Great point.
The question's why.
The Heat. Yeah, we don't know why, but he made a good point. The Heat, they played like crap in the first half, and the Heat were able to get in a little bit of a rhythm, and the Celtics were pretty much like just, coming up for air and, trying to like just tread water in the second half. They took the lead for 10 seconds, but they couldn't get on Heat's level of sort of like just the production that they were having down the stretch there. So,
right.
And that's because they didn't set any sort of tone early on. Nobody got going. I mean, when you pick up early fouls and you're just chucking shots and they're not falling, you don't get in any rhythm.
All right, let's whip it around. Joe Sway, is it over in 5?
Nope. Series continues.
Wow, I like it. Who steps up?
I think you're going to see that second half from Tatum carry over. It's funny. We talked about, the last bad Jason Tatum game. We talked about he's due for a bad game every 20 games, right, this season. He's had 3 horrendous games. When I say bad, I mean really, really bad. So maybe he decided, he's the conference finals. Why don't I shrink this to a half, just a half worth of that terrible dud that I tend to put up every 20 games. And what happens after those duds, right? He typically goes off. So I think you'll see that. I'm still worried about Kemba. I need Kemba to do at least what we saw in Game 3. So I'm a bit concerned there. But I think Jalen's going to have another good game too as well. I think those two are going to really carry the load here on both ends.
I'm concerned with what you do with Kemba after this is all over, but that's a different story.
Yeah. Ready to trade him already.
I am. I'm serious.
You want to have that conversation? We might have to have it soon.
Not yet.
Save it.
That's an off-season combo.
Oh, yeah, not now, but I'm saying in general. We'll have it.
Bobby, Game 5, what do you think? Is it over?
Just judging off demeanor tonight, Yeah, I
He
think
doesn't
it's
even
gonna
want
be
to
a
say it.
conquer.
It's all right. Say it.
Yeah. Okay, Jimmy.
I'm gonna go with Josue here. I think the Celtics come out. I mean, listen, I really at this point have no reason to believe it, but I think that there's a little bit more character in this team. I know there's more character in this team than last year's team. I can't
Let's see how
imagine they
Bam
go out the
looks
same
too.
way.
Yeah, because he did break his wrist. I heard.
Hey,
Yo, break
he
it in.
he twisted
I'm
it, but
saying-
it was
I'm
dangling
saying
like one of
Celtics
those
take-
Halloween guys.
I'm gonna say Celtics take Friday's game, and listen, I'm still not.
And they make us
confident
do a double dip on Sunday with Pats and
I got the
Celtics.
commenters.
Exactly. Yeah, they just stretch this out, and then they go out. They go out, with a whimper on Sunday.
Yeah, I think it's over.
Oh, thanks, Jimmy.
Shocking.
Josue, can we at least get a game 7 out of you?
No, he already went. He went first. Pay attention.
I know, but I didn't hear. Is it going beyond game 5?
You have 5. You think it goes 7?
Well, but this kind of series, man, we got to take it one game at a time here. Let's see how
All
they
right,
look
thank
after game 5, and then we'll see if they can get it to game 7. But
Yeah, I'm
even
50.
if you get there, I still that's a tough place to be against the Miami Heat. A game 7 against this team, I don't know.
I reserve the right to change my mind. I could see it being like a Jaylen Brown game where he just comes
That's what I
in
was
and
saying.
just goes in a straight, just attack.
He was weirdly
If he
off
takes 30
tonight.
shots again, that'll be hilarious.
No, but I just want like
Aggressiveness.
Just go to the basket. Like
Right.
Yeah.
I can't stand settling for jumpers early. Take what the offense gives you, but don't choose it. Like they're just. It looks like that's what they're like trying for. Like make make some attempts to get to the basket, get to the line,
Especially against the zone. You should be
Put some
using all
pressure on them,
24
attack
seconds.
the zone.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the zone for years in college, and you see the other teams like they use all 30 seconds. Like it's just what you do against it. And they did that in the third. They didn't do that in any other quarter. Like if you're taking a shot 2 seconds into the clock against the zone, you're bailing out the defense.
Yeah, they did a lot of that. That's yeah.
All right,
For some reason, they kept doing that.
Maybe game 5, maybe not. We'll see. We'll see.
My thing with the Celtics is that they're just inconsistent. So it's hard for me to say, they'll win game 5 and then they'll win.
It's a tough read.
Exactly. I don't know what the hell I'm going to get.
Well, that's Stern. They'll be
series.
inconsistent. You know that for sure.
Toronto game, I'm like, it's over because I just didn't think Toronto could hang, and they did based on toughness. But just looking at the team, I'm like, I don't know.
This is the Celtics' problem. I think they don't know what the hell's going. They don't know what to expect out of themselves up there. They're going into these games like we don't know what the hell we're showing up with today.
Right. All right. Let's wrap it up. Game 5. We'll do this again. Maybe again. We'll see. All we know right now is we have one more.
Season finale. Maybe.
One game at a time.
We'll see. We're gonna bring out a whole bunch of celebrities for the season finale. There's gonna be some guest cameos.
Great.
But that's it for Josue Pavone from Heavy.com, Celtics beat writer. Jimmy Toscano, Bobby Manning, Celtics blog, and CLNS Media. And behind the scenes, you don't see him, but Chuck Higgins, Emerson College.
What up, Emerson?
There, doing some of the dirty work behind the scenes for us. So thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
And that is it. Hold on, we're gonna pop him on and say hello. There he is.
What's going on?
Chucky.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Buddy?
He wasn't prepared to go on the air, so I'm gonna let him go. We're gonna
We're not finish this eating ramen right now.
we will. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you.